start it and it records. So, all right, let's start the jigsaw puzzle tutorial I was talking about. And it's really super easy. It's fun, and you'll have hours of enjoyment making jigsaw puzzles of every nature you can possibly think of. So it's in the source code examples of the Objective-C programming in object-oriented programming in Objective-C. It's right down here. It's called Jigsaw Puzzle Tutorial, and it works with touch controls, which is actually kind of interesting. So I have it downloaded already. There's a tutorial here. It's in a PDF file, and then we also have the finished project, but let's build it live so you can sort of see what it looks like. I might have to download the finished project because I need the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. The images are inside of the finished product. All right, so we'll get to a certain point, then I'll download the project and we'll copy the images over. So this one I'm going to call it, well, I'm not going to call it touch control. I'm going to call it puzzle or jigsaw. So go ahead and open up and create a new Xcode project. Select single view application. Select next. And this one's going to be Jigsaw Puzzle. Jigsaw Puzzle. Here we go. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of variations of this you could also play around with if you wanted to. We have glare on the screen now. Wow. What happened to our blinds? Oh. Sorry about that.
The two of them from there are broken. So
Oh. Well, I'll have to report that to the maintenance folk. Alright, so let's, unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that glare. But, unless this guy's got an option here. No. I don't know, unless you want to try to do it. If you want to try to do it, go for it. You can do it. Alright. Here, let me pause this here for a second. And now that we fixed the glare, let's finish this project. Alright, so we're going to do a jigsaw puzzle. So we created a project. We have an empty view, and now we're ready to figure out what we're going to do with the view. So, we're going to double click on the view controller, and we're going to open it up in the interface builder. Well, we don't have to do that. This is a very old tutorial, by the way, so I have to kind of adapt a little bit. Select a, change the background color if you want to. Select and bring into the 4 image views. So we're going to put 4 image views on our canvas. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got a little image. Here's our view. And now we're going to run image view. So today's all been about views if you haven't noticed. So I got one. I don't want to fill up the whole thing. Instead I want to just put one in here. There we go. What I'm going to do is just kind of cut and paste it. And let's just put one. Then I'm going to copy it. 2, oops. 3, 4. So they're kind of they're kind of overlapping a little bit. So let me make them a little bit smaller. Not going to be the perfect one here, but put 4 little image, because we're going to have 4 little puzzle pieces we're going to stick in here. And then we're going to move the puzzle pieces around. So, okay, there we go. So now we're going to click on the view itself, go into the attribute inspector, and let's take a look here. We're going to make sure it's touchable, or that it adjusts. So let's take a look here. Let me go back to my instructions. I know that we have to make sure that the background is going to be able to be able to accept user interaction enabled. But skipping ahead, so let me go back and make sure I got here. Drag 4 image views from the library, place on the view. We've done that. So drag 4 images of your choice and copy them into the project. That's where I'm going to have to go back to get those puzzle pieces. Select the image views for each of the views and bring it up in the attribute inspector. Select one of the images and show each image in each different view. So if I go back to this project out here and I click on the finished project for the jigsaw puzzle solution, I'm just going to steal out of the solution the pieces. And I'm going to show you how I made the pieces here. here are the pieces. The pieces are 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. So here's how I made the pieces, but let me put them, before I forget, let me put the pieces in the project. So I got 1A, I'm going to copy them in. 1B, you can call them anything you want. 2A, and 2B. And these pieces here go into the image views. So we're going to take an image here, and this is going to be 1A. I'll put 1B down here, because we don't make the puzzle too easy. 2B. I'll put here 2B and 2A up here. Alright, so essentially these pieces go together. You can go like this with the pieces. And you can make, and this is like, you know, not that sophisticated. But one of my pieces actually is kind of messed up. This piece over here is a little bit messed up, but it makes a puzzle. So when the app opens up, we're going to spread the pieces out a little bit. I think that might be attendance or something coming this way. Spread the pieces out a little bit so the pieces are kind of mixed up so the user can have an easier time or harder time figuring out how to do it. So how did I make these pieces? Well, I did this. I went to the internet, pulled an image off of somewhere. Let's just do that real quick. Actually, I probably should have just saved one of those from earlier. Let's go PNG picture. Went to images. Oh, here we got a couple of good ones here. Well, I like this little apple here. Pull the apple out. Actually, here we'll just save it. Save it as a PNG file. And then bring it up in preview. This is a that's a really cool apple picture. If you double click on it, it brings it up in preview. And then you go like this and you can select it. For example, I'm going to make two pieces out of this. I'm going to select it at 303, and 152. So I got 303 and 152. So I'm going to copy. And I'm really only worried about 303 because that's how far down I went. So I'm going to start at 303, or I can start at, you know, any dimensions. Well, I'm going to pick this here. It's like in the middle of the orange, it looks like. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go new from clipboard. And this one's going to be A. So I'm going to do save. And I'm going to call this one A. And then right in the middle here, I can actually take, oops, well, I shouldn't have done that one. So let's go back here. So 304. Let's go this way a little bit. Actually, that's not the dimension, but 305. And let's see, so 303. 303, this looks pretty good. Go about right here. Call this one B. Copy, new from clipboard. Here we got save. This one's going to be called B. And then I can test the pictures out this way if I want to, you know. I'm not really going to see what they look like until I put them in an image view. So now I have two pieces of this apple. I'm going to add this to my project too. And so I'm going to put A and B in here. So A and B. Here's B. And then we got, where did A go? A's down here. Make this a little bit smaller. Here's A. And I'm making this simple. I just could probably make this a little bit more complicated. I'm going to add a couple more image views to it so I can put those two new pieces in here. And I can sort of build the image view to kind of, you know, make it look good if I wanted to. This would be A. This is going to be B. Oh, B's kind of warped a little bit. That's the smallest part of the apple, so let's make this a little bit bigger. So I can kind of line up the pieces a little bit, make them look a little bit like they match each other. Ooh, actually I'm coming close. Ah, look at that. I got a pretty good apple. So I can build the apple. Well, actually the apple's kind of squared up a little bit. I probably could make the apple a little bit. Here, let me see. I could probably perfect the apple a little bit. Make it like, there we go. Move this one up a little bit like that. Move them all in a little bit. So this is a little bit bigger. And it's not rocket science, but it's getting close. There we go. A couple little pieces of the apple. And I'm going to break up the apple. Here, I'll even put this little piece of the apple up here. Now it's a little bit more complicated of a game. Not too bad, but it's okay. All right, so, and go back to my instructions here. I've got my pieces out there. So you put your pieces out there. It's a jigsaw puzzle. Make sure that the user interaction is enabled and the checkbox is selected. So on the image view, we want the user interaction enabled for all of these little image views, which means when we press on the image, we want it to be interactive. So if we click on this one guy over here and we just look at the image view, it says user interaction is not enabled. So we got to go like here. So now you get all your pieces out there. Make sure that they're all enabled. If you want to see what it looks like without, just unselect one of them, and you'll notice when you press your finger on it, your mouse, it doesn't move. It won't move unless it's enabled. All right. So now we're going to open up the viewcontroller.h. We're going to wire all 4. Well, I got 6. So I'm going to wire all 6 of my images as follows. I'm going to have image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to put 6 images out there because I did 6 because I have 2 extra. So I'm going to move this guy over a little bit, get rid of the side piece, open up this one. And I'm going to take, what do I got over here? Oh, this is actually good. We don't even have to wire this. Let's just create 4 image variables. So I'm going to go like this, copy this over here, take it over here, put it in the viewcontroller.h file. I'm going to make 4 little data members. Well, I'm going to make 6 of them. I have to add 2 more to it, so it's not too big of a problem here. Edit, paste. And then, oops, take away this extra. Take away the extra. There we go. And I'm going to add 2 more to this because I got 5 and 6. The apple that I added. There we go. Just take some of this out of here. Move this over a little bit. There we go. Alright, so you see, when I put them in this way, because these are IB outlets that I added, I have a little connection thing, but nothing's connected. But I have the little connectors that work with that. So now we're going to wire them backwards, and this tutorial is kind of an old one. In the old days, you used to make the UI, you then used to make the view controller, and then after everything was done, you wired everything up, which is why it's doing this way. But I just want to show you can do it backwards if you want. You don't have to go forward. So we didn't have to drag and drop it. We can just do it this way. So we're going to wire one of the buttons, IB outlets to each one of the image buttons, and we're going to wire the connections. It doesn't really matter which one you put to anywhere. Just click on each empty circle and drag it to one of the images. And again, it doesn't matter what order, because if we wanted to, we could check the order and actually give each one of the images some sort of a unique name to it instead of image 1, image 2, image 3. We could check the order that the images were on the canvas and see if we won or not. So once you build the puzzle, jigsaw puzzle is complete, then the game logic would know that it was complete. I'm not really going to do that for this. I'm just going to connect it. So if I connect it, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could also maybe randomly select these so that the puzzle shuffles on its own if we wanted to. By just putting in a random kind of shuffle, make an event to shuffle it. But that's another option you can do. There's a lot of things you can do with this to make it more sophisticated. But now we're going to add a method to move the images around. It's going to be a touches move. Because we set the interactivity on the images, when you touch the image, the touches moves event's going to occur. Only when you move it. So you got to touch it and drag it. If you just touch it, nothing happens. Touch it, move it. This method's going to do. What's this method going to do? It's going to capture the UI touch. So we're going to get the touch event, and it's a data type of an event. So we're going to create event all touches, and it's going to be a touch on any object. Doesn't really matter what we're touching it on because we're not caring which image we got. We can actually do if it's image number 1, 2, 3, 4. We can actually divide it out if we want to, but we're going to say any object. CG point is the touch location. So where did you touch it? So if you touched it inside of an object, any part of the object, it gets counted as that object because it's a view component. So self.view, on the view, you touched something. They're all view components. Which component did you touch comes back to the CG point where the touch location occurred. If the touch view is going to be equal to image 1, then the image.1.center is equal to touch location. If it's 2, center of that touch. If it's 3, center of that touch. If it's 4, 5, 6, doesn't really matter. Compile and run the program. You should be able to pull the pieces together. So let's go ahead, cut and paste, and put this in here. This is like the simplest game possibly do. The excellent thing is that we already have the listeners, not like Android. If you're in the Android class, you're familiar with touch listeners and click listeners and all these other listeners and observer design pattern. Well, in iOS, the observer is built in already. So we have it. We're just going to take advantage of it and use it. So I'm going to copy the code, stick it in the main view controller, and I'm going to stick it in viewcontroller.m, which is where it goes. And I don't know if this actually said it. Yep, it does. Open up viewcontroller.m. Good. And stick this event in here. I'm just going to stick it at the top here. And I just didn't call it an event. It's a method implementation. We don't have to add anything to the view controller, no protocols, nothing, because what ends up happening is we get this behavior automatically. It's the event-driven behavior, just like the clicks are happening automatically for us. If you haven't noticed, we haven't had to put any listeners in for anything, for any of the projects we built. So now what we can do then is run the project. We have a cool little jigsaw puzzle. So we got all of these little pieces that are here, right? Well, we got a little bit of interesting behavior. If you click the middle of the component, it doesn't jerk as much. But if you click the side piece, see how it kind of jerks a little bit because the center location, the touch location is the center. So each one of the pieces, these aren't movable. Oh, we didn't put the rest of them in there. Bummer. So let me go fix it in a second here. Only the first 4 images, which were these 4. Alright, let's go put the rest of the images in there. You're right, I added 2 more images and I didn't change the touch event. So let's just do this. I need to add 2 more in here. So this is pretty easy. Copy, paste. And if it's an image number 4, oops, no, image number 4. No, this is number 5 and 6. 5, 6. So image 5. Touch location is touch location. If it's number 6, then the 6 is going to be equal to the image 6.center location. So I added the other 2 in there. So let's make sure that we got this working here. Alright, so this puzzle, oops, see if I can do my own puzzle here. Go. Put this one in here, move you guys over here. See, this one I didn't really do such a good job on. The pieces, I have to overlap the pieces in order to get them to work right. Not the best puzzle. But the apple I think is going to work better. Let's see. So the apple we can actually, my lines weren't so perfect on the apple either, but it's a little bit better than the other one. So you can see we have movable pieces. So the funny thing is if you were using your finger, it would work on a real iPad, which is actually kind of cool. So this is what I call like a, I don't know, it's like an easy game you could put together. So I had one person from one of my classes, actually a couple of terms ago, who put a bunch of characters together. So you had, she put pictures out there. And in the picture, it's for kids. You take your finger and you draw the character. You put, like, you know how you color, but you draw the, like, you can do it. I don't know, but like kanji characters, like for Chinese kanji, but this was for, I don't know what language it was, but you put the characters on it, and the kids draw their fingers around the character. It picks up the touch location. So you touch it, picks up the location, and it drags, so it keeps content, and then basically you're looking at this event here, touches moves. And if the moves is in the right pattern or close to it, then it's correct. So you can use it to draw characters. So you can actually, there's variations of this out here with using just this control here, just this touches moves, and the logic inside of it, where you can hold on to a variable of where did you touch, and then where did you draw. And there's a couple drawing applications out there where it just puts a black box. It just draws a black box. So you put your finger on the canvas, and it draws where your finger is. So you can do handwriting with your finger. You can do recognition of handwriting. You do like an A. And so a couple of terms ago, I think it was in my Monday class, they actually have the apps in the App Store, which is really cool. They did it so you draw a character, if it matches another character, it just goes through a bunch of if-then statements. After it picks up the final image and says, and then the app will say A, B, C, D. So it teaches you how to write with your finger, A, B, C. Or there's one where it speaks a character and you write the character. If it's a kanji character or some sort of character, and you just draw the pattern and it shows you the pattern, then it shows you the matching pattern. Maybe when you're done, or compares the pattern. This stuff is a piece of cake, as you can see, and it has there's a lot of usefulness to it. So, long story short, you don't have to know much. You can get by with very little skill in terms of programming, but the more programming that you have, the more functional you can make this. So here what we're doing is we're just capturing the center location of each one of these images, and we're just going to move it to the location. So touch view is going to be equal, if it's equal to this image itself, then find the center is going to be equal to the center location. Find the center location, it's just going to move it from the center to wherever you're going to put it to. It's automatic behavior, just telling it to do that. So this is the quick game you can put together. It's a little puzzle. But that's what I wanted to show you with that. There's a couple more, actually. We got a few minutes here. I want to show you another one that's actually kind of cool. But let's just see if there's anything left on this one. Nope, this is it. That's the puzzle, and it's using the meat of the operation is touches moves. Automatically puts on there. So here's another really cool one. It's out here actually. I should move these into the other folder, but I haven't done that yet. It was one that I did over here. It's called Monkey Touch, and there's Monkey Pinch. So I just want to show this to you. It's out here on the Digital Arts website, and it's the pinch and the move. So actually we have moving balls. This is actually worth looking at. But what I'll do is I'll just show you the finished product instead of building them. Because all of this stuff is as easy as what we just built. So we don't necessarily have to build it. But if you want to build it, on the finished product side over here, you can see the finished. You want to build it, the tutorial's over here. So you can cut and paste and build the project. The reason why you might want to build is these are old project types. If you want it for iOS 7, you got to build it yourself. You do, you just follow through the steps, the code should work just fine. Actually, nothing significantly changed. But I wanted to show you the touch me and the touch move. Because there's there's a monkey pinch in here too, but I don't know what happened to it. It was based upon an internet tutorial, actually. Where you used a pinch gesture with the gesture control and went, eh, like, giggles or whatever when you pinch the monkey. And otherwise, you can move the monkey up and down, and there's balls that go down from the top to the bottom of the app, and there's a bunch of other little cool things. Simple. This stuff is like really simple. Looks cool, but it's very simple. So these are the two. Animation is actually kind of an interesting one as well. You know what? Let's build the animation one. We'll just show you the animation one. I'll walk you through the animation. This animation one is actually kind of cool. So animation is an old project. Works with 6 images. So let me load up the project. So in the project we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The eyes are moving, you can't tell it. But if I run the project, you can sort of see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to run it first and then I'll show you how this is done. This is 5 images. And the head's going back and forth. You know those old flip books?
Yeah.
People do this all the time. In fact, you could take your little cartoons you do on the flip books, scan them in the computer, put them in the PNG files, load them up in the project, and here's your little flipping animation. It's actually kind of cool. I mean, some people think it's cool. I don't know. So what is this? This is easier than the jigsaw puzzle we put together. So what do you do here? Here's the XIB file. The XIB file is just a little window. Nothing on the window. In fact, if you look here, you just see it's just a view. Nothing was added to it. You don't have to put anything on there. Alright, so take that away. And take a look at the view controller. Nothing on the view controller either. Nothing really what we're doing. So we go into viewcontroller.m and we just look at one method. This is the entire program right here. That's what I say. It's easier than the puzzle we just put together. This one here takes and creates a UI image view. And the variable, should put a space in here. We're going to call it as animation view. And it is a UI image view alloc. So if you know how to program in Objective-C, you can do a lot with this. And let me get rid of the side piece over here. Then we have an animation view, which is going to be of a animation image here. Animation image. It's just an array of objects, and the array of objects that are going to be in here is going to be our UI images, image named, image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, image 5, image 6. Put as many images as you want in there. And the animation images is going to run an animation view to animate duration. So let's just speed this guy up here. Now, so if his duration is 1, we'll make it 0.15. It was 1.25, I think, before. I think that's going to be the way I'm going to go on it. The animation repeat count is 0, but we could repeat it over and over, so we can go on. If we put it on repeat, each one of the changes is gonna just keep going back and forth. Let's see, start animating, start the animation, and then add the animation view to the subview, which we're going to add it to the image. Well, it's going to actually not even add to the subview, it's just going to put it on the view. It's going to be added because we already created the image view programmatically. So all I did here is just it lowered the animation duration. See how his head moves faster? So we can make his eyes fall out. So he's a little bit faster now than he was before. So just made the duration smaller. So we can sort of see that this is what I wanted to show you. This is the major code for this. Not too much code, really. This is the entire project, by the way. So it doesn't really take very much work to do simple animation like that. The work is in the pictures. So, and then imagine that you can make an animated GIF out of that if you wanted to, by just putting the pieces together, applying an animation method to it to animate it, set the duration, and you got it. The other one out there that was kind of interesting is Touch as Move and Touch Me. So Touch as Move it was the monkey project that was the predecessor to the puzzle. If I run it, we'll see what it looks like here. And this is just a monkey picture. Click on the picture. The picture resized the image for us. And then we just drag and then moving. So this was the first tutorial that I put together actually on the Touch as Moves. And then I figured, you know what, we should make this a little bit more functional, and then you put the jigsaw puzzle together. So what is this going to do? This doesn't really do anything. It's just an image that you're putting around. Well, what is this guy going to do? This guy just demonstrates an image view terminating in response to storyboard's termination. Okay, good. Put the image here, and then on the view controller.h, you got a distance thing, and you got a timer, but the timer, I took it off. You can actually, you can slow down the move, slow down how fast, or you can click it and let it move on its own. You can drop it down. So I believe that this one, I can't remember if I turned it off on here. Let me just run this one more time. Hello, we're stuck. We're frozen. Oh, there we go. Yes, and failed to install the application. I've got a problem with my simulator. Oops, let me shut the simulator down. It's probably because I had the timer running and I disabled it. Okay, bad example, but let's just take a look at the code part of it, which is why I'm showing it to you. On the touches begin, it's going to pick up all the touches and then switch number 1. If it's the first touch case, then it's a UI touch, create a touch, allocate the touch, switch 1, set the timer. So between the touches, you can go. What you can do is touch in one location, touch in another location, and then the image moves from one location to another location. And the moves are on a timer, so that every 2 or 3 minutes the move occurs. And we update the timer, exactly like the digital clock we put together. So you can actually create some animation where, excuse me, the monkey moves or floats across the screen on the timer. It's a lot of people do this in web development with images. Okay. Anyway, actually, let me pause this for a second. All right, so I'm going to resume this just to finish this up for us because, I don't know, it's nice to get done with this. So what we're looking at is the touches moved, and then we have the touches ended, and we have the touches canceled, and we have all of the different touches events in here. So I'm actually going to run this one more time and see why my simulator is failing. I may have broken my simulator, actually. See if touches is out here. Animation, image, touch. Yeah, so when I click it, that's the touch of the animation. So it's not really doing anything for me. So I actually would have to look. It's not working because the mouse click isn't imitating the touches correctly. And this is an older project, so long story short, I'd compile it under iOS 7, load it on a device, and take a look at it. If you touch it and you drag it, you'll see it. Because of the timer, you'll see that it moves in a more animated way. I can't simulate the animation on the emulator. But long story short, that is one of the examples. There's also another one. The last one I wanted to show you was the Touch Me example. And the Touch Me example works with, and let me just show you this one here for a second. It's not the pinches. I can't do the pinches on the simulator. But Touch Me, it's going to be very similar. It tells you what you touched. So I pushed the button, and because I already triggered that event, the timer ran out on it. It does for a timer, it goes up and down. It says I'm holding my mouse down on the monkey. If I hold it over here, it doesn't really matter what I'm touching it on. I'm touching, oops, I touch dragged. So no activity is going to occur, but what it's doing is it's picking up the event. So I have a touch down, touch begin, touch end, touch to stop. But I can't tell because I'm simulating this with a mouse. So I can do a drag. There's a drag detected because I pushed my mouse down and I dragged it with the mouse down. What you can do is load this on a device and play around with the touches and see which touch control is actually triggering. And if you take a look at the code for this, there's nothing really other than an image and a label and a button on the UI. But on the view controller, what we can see then is the push. Let's see, we've got the interface here that's going to run some methods for us, and the methods that are going to run are going to be touches begin, touches canceled, touches ended, and we're changing the label. So there's a label on there that's being changed with the event that's being occurred. So all we're doing is essentially testing this out to see what the touches are giving us. So, in terms of the event handling. This is not to be confused with gesture control. This is touch control. The gesture control object picks up things you can't test on an emulator. You actually need the device. It is just as easy. You just detect the gestures, pinch gesture, drag gesture, swipe gestures, and you're essentially writing methods to pick them up, and they're automatically detected for you. So there's nothing that you actually have to do on that. In fact, on the image view, the automatic detection is the double click on an image, makes it bigger, makes it smaller, kind of stuff as well. So anyway, I will leave you with that for exploration. These again are from iOS 5. They're kind of old examples, but they're still working and they're still effective. So let me end this video here.